All right, we're going to start with breaking down these plywood sheets of cherry plywood so we can begin making the carcass of this liquor cabinet. And I'm also going to have a built-in humidor in it. So just taking my track saw here and breaking these sheets down to more manageable pieces. And then I got them broken down to more manageable pieces. Take them over to my table saw and cut them down to final size. All right, now I'm taking it over to my other table saw that I have a dedicated dado stack on, and I'm gonna cut some rabbets in here. And this will help ensure that I get the carcass put together in a fairly square fashion. But it also helps keep them square while you're gluing, screwing, and then stapling them up. And here I'm just doing a little test fit on that. And then right here I'm using that same test piece to set up the where I need that cut to go for the back panel, which is 3/16 to a quarter thick. And now I'm going to begin gluing up the carcass, and there's going to be 3 separate sections of this carcass. And the 2 end pieces will set in approximately 4 inches from the middle piece. Just clamping it all up, making sure everything is lined up and squared up, getting all the glue squeezed out. These are just the top slats right here. And now I'm cutting that 1/4 inch plywood that's going to be the back panels. Cutting those down to size. And it just slides right on in. And these right here are some little spacers that I'm cutting to put in between the 3 carcasses. And basically just kind of gives you a little extra room so everything's not butted up. And then when you get your doors on there, the doors can't open because everything is just so close together. So right here I'm stapling those spacers to the carcass. And I'm just using staples because there's also going to be screws involved when I put the carcasses together. So they definitely will not go nowhere. And I guess there will also be screws before I put the carcasses together. And here I'm just using my planer to get some of those burn marks off. Cherry is notorious for burning fairly easy whenever you use your table saw or any other saw. So I'm just doing a very light pass to get those burn marks off. And here I'm just gluing the trim on to the plywood carcasses. Using the clamps to clamp them on. I didn't want to use too many pin nailers or anything like that because I didn't want too many holes to have to cover up. So I only used them when it was absolutely necessary. And here I'm having to use that piece of scrap to help get my clamp, give it more clamping length, or however you want to say that, so I can get everything clamped down solid across that. Here I'm just rounding over. These are going to be used for, there's a shelf on each end of the carcass, as you can see right there, that I'm going to use to put a shelf on. And right here I'm putting about a 1/8 of an inch of cherry over the edge and using the blue tape to clamp it down, just so you don't have to see the plies on that piece of plywood. Just makes it a little bit more attractive. And right here I'm gluing on the face frame. And most time I'll put the face frame together and use pocket hole screws to do it all in one piece. But because of this one having the middle carcass sitting out 4 inches further than the two side pieces, I just went ahead and did every piece just as a single piece. And once again, I'm just using the clamps to clamp down the face frames. And then you see here, this is one of those few cases that I used my pin nailer. Just need a little extra hand there to keep it from slipping. And here I am using the pocket holes to put that little separator for where the drawer is going to be from where the two doors are going to be at the bottom. And right here, this is I'm cutting all the pieces down for what's going to be the top of this carcass. And then, like you see right there, the burning on the cherry on the edge. It's just not a whole lot you can do for that. Even with the clean blade on there, the cherry just really burns fairly easy. And I'm joining one of the faces on these boards. And after I joint the faces, then I will joint one of the edges, get them square to one another. as I'm doing right here. And then I'm taking it down to thickness using the planer. And as you saw right there, I made some pencil marks on that side, just more or less so I know this is the side that needs to be planed down. I don't get the other side mixed up. Honestly, it wouldn't really matter. It's just kind of my thing. I always do the same side. And here I'm just marking for where the dominoes are going to go. I use the dominoes on this because I suck at doing glue ups like this, and the dominoes just help me get everything aligned a little bit easier. It's still hard because I still have the worst trouble doing glue ups like this, but it's a little bit easier. And as you can see, you got all the dominoes in place, putting the glue on the edge. Gonna spread it out. And for me, the problem with the big glue ups like this is just the open time that you have with the glue. It tacks up so fast. You know, I mean, you could use some like epoxy or something like that to give a little more open time, but you know, I'm used to using the glue, you know, and one of these days maybe I'll try something different. All right, so I'm gonna get this table top tightened up on these clamps, and next what you're gonna see is I'm putting the separator where the two doors are gonna go, down at the bottom of the two ends, and once again using pocket holes to put that separator in place. And once that's done, part one of this video is going to come to a conclusion, and this will probably be 2, possibly 3 videos. I hope to have them out in the next couple weeks to a month, but if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, like, comment, share the video. I appreciate that, and y'all have a great one. All right, welcome back to part 2 of the liquor cabinet and built-in humidor that I'm building. Right here, I'm using my coping sled to do the rails and stiles. And here I am making the drawer fronts, putting the decorative cove cut around the edges. One thing to remember when you're using a large bit like that, you always want to slow your router speed down a little bit. And you see that beautiful design they left on there. And now I'm gluing up the door frames. And you can see how this just slides right on in the panel. Very nice. First time ever doing these type of doors, and I really like them. I'll clamp them up, let the glue dry, and after the glue dries, using the little Craig jig here to put in the holes for the hinges. And these are Blum South close. And putting the doors in place. And you can see how nice and slow those things close. And here I'm putting this on the back. The purpose it's serving is so when I do these bloom undermounts, I'll have something to screw into. And when mounting these, you want a 5/30 seconds of back from the frame. It's always important. Now I'm using my dado table saw to do the little lock joints on the drawers. As you can see right here, this is how they go together. And now I'm gonna glue the drawers up. Put the bottom panel in. Put them in the clamps. Then I'm gonna check for square. And now I'm using the little jig here for the bloom undermount drawer slides. That was worth every bit of little $10. Putting in place, locking them. And here I'm going to be cutting the another drawer front. And I'm going to take it over to my router table and put that same profile on there. And the big bitch, you just want to take a little small passes each time. And here you can see how that profile looks on here. Right there. Nice. Then I'm taking my little trim router and I'm going along the edges here, doing a slight round over. I'll do that over the whole frame. And now I'm making the big door for where the wine rack is at, for the center part, using a domino and put together with dominoes. And I made the center door slightly thicker than the other doors. And here I'm putting on that profile again for the inside. However, I'm not going to go as deep. And now I'm cutting these dovetails, dovetail joinery for the racks are going to go inside the wine rack portion. Using the drill press here to cut out some little half circles for where the neck of the bottle will go from the wine bottle, and rounding over all the edges on it. You can see the little dovetail joinery right there. And now I'm going to glue up the pieces of the wine rack while I'm enjoying a nice cigar. And these are the sliding dovetail joints, so I slide them in place and of course glue them. And this is how I'm installing them, using some screws. And there will be 5 racks that holds 5 bottles each, so a total of 25. As you can see right here with the little example of 1 wine bottle in there, but it'll be a total of 25. And here I'm gluing some chunks of wood together. These are going to be the feet. And once I get them all glued up, I think it was a total of 6 of them. I made this little jig here so I can cut these feet at an angle on the bandsaw. This is kind of like a last minute thing that I came up with, and glad I did. A lot better than my other idea I had. And I'm just there again, rounding over the edges on the feet. And the only type of joiner I could think of to use on this was going to be dowels. So I'm using the doweling jig here to cut a couple holes in each one. I mean, I guess I could have used dominoes too, but I felt safer doing it like this. And those little pins I just put in those holes, that's what I'm going to use to mark. It'll put some little divots on the other side, and that'll tell me where I need to drill so everything will line up. And this is what I'm doing right here. And as you can see right here, it just slides on in place. And at some point, I did use Rubio monocoat on this, and I guess I just lost all the footage. But as you can see, it is stained with the Rubio Pure. And here I am putting the drawer front on in the hardware. And then I use 2 screws on either side of the knob just to secure it all in place. Slides on in. And now I'm going to put this kind of profile on the top. And I'm using that right there as a to give me like a circle. Take the jigsaw and rough cut this out. And I ended up just getting a piece of plywood and making a pattern, so I can use my pattern bit to go on it to kind of you know, get it to the line, make it look nice. I don't think I got footage of that though. And using the router here, just put another little round over on the top. And there was some burn marks on there, but I did go back and sand that out. And now I'm putting some Rubio monocoat on the top. And I did put the Rubio monocoat on the top and the bottom. To help seal the wood up. And I like using Rubio because it's pretty much foolproof. And here's how it is coming along. Stay tuned for part 3. Okay, this is part 3 of the liquor cabinet with the built-in humidor. And in part 3, we're going to finish everything up. And we're going to start breaking down the wood for the humidor section. Take it over to the table saw and get the final length and width of the carcass for the humidor. It's a good thing I measured there because I almost cut the wrong side down and it would have been totally off. Because I want the grain to be going all in the same direction. And this carcass is going to have a bottom area, which is where the drawer will be at, and that's where the humidifier will go. So instead of cutting a dado there, I wanted this to be a little thicker, so I'm just going to measure and cut the pieces. And so there will be an automatic dado there, as you'll see in a moment. Maybe I didn't explain that very well. So I'm just going to laminate these 2 pieces together. And so like I said, this humidor is going to be 1.5 inches thick all the way around. Well, actually a little bit more than that when you figure in the veneered Spanish cedar on the inside. Just using my pin nailer there to keep it from sliding when I go to clamp it down. And same thing here, I'm just laminating these pieces together. And as you see right there, I'm leaving spaces on the top and bottom, the thickness of one piece of plywood. And that will be where the top piece will go and the back piece will go. Usually when I do that, I'll just put a little rabbet on the top or on the back or whatnot. But this time I just want to do a little different. And here I'm laminating the Spanish cedar. Again, these are about 3/16 of an inch thick. Make sure I get plenty of glue, cover the entire surface. Reduces the odds of it delaminating. And use my pen nailer to somewhat keep it down. I'll come back with some cawls and put across there to apply even pressure all the way across. And this is that bottom drawer area. I also did Spanish cedar on it as well. And once again, applying a cawl across that to apply even pressure. One of these days, I'm actually going to get a vacuum bag so I don't have to do this. It would be a lot easier. And this is going to be the section that goes between the drawer and the main part of the humidor. And these are the vent hose. And I'm just using my router with some spacers. And I'll take a little bit at a time and plunge it down. Do a little bit more, plunge it down. And the spacers, I just move them up as I go to keep an even space. And you're just removing about 1/8 of an inch each time, so this takes a while. And again, that was going through a little over 1.5 inches. Probably closer to 1 5/8 inches. So it took quite a long time to do this. And this is down in the drawer area once again. I use those little plug things that usually go on a desk. And so you can plug in stuff on top of your desk, like a charger or a printer or something along those lines. It just kind of just cleans things up a little bit. Also keeps up a good seal right there. And now I'm gluing up the carcass. And this gives you a good look at how thick the carcass actually is. Gluing in the separating section between the drawer and the top part of the humidor. And that one little piece kind of looks like it might be delaminating or whatnot, but that's not the case. That's just a piece that's a little bit thicker than the other piece, and since it's going to be down in the drawer, you're not going to see it. Not a real big deal. And I'm clamping the pieces together. And now I'm putting the separator in the middle of the humidor. And once again, I did do the vent hose on that one too. And applying the undermount drawer slides at the bottom. These were Bloom drawer slides. Putting the drawer in place. And I want to put some leveling feet on the humidor. Even though this will be on top of the liquor cabinet, I didn't want the frame of the liquor cabinet actually touching the top. So these leveling feet will keep it about, well, it'll keep it whatever you want it to be at, but I put it at like 1/8 of an inch. So I'll use that drill bit to get me started. Make it a little bit larger hole. Then use my drill to put the thread in there. And then screw the leveling feet in. And now I'm putting the face frame on the humidor. So somehow or another, I did lose some footage along the way on this last part of the build, and so I wasn't able to get it back. So there'll be some parts that'll be kind of missing. But if y'all want to hit me up in the comments, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those. And this is the top piece of the humidor. I want it to be something special, something that would kind of stick out a little bit. So I'm just using the bandsaw to cut around all these curves. I used, I think, like a can of shellac to get these curves. And, you know, once you cut it off, you go through there and you use a file to get some of the bandsaw marks off. And then, of course, sandpaper. And once I get done with this, I'll take it over to the router table and round over all the edges. Helps it kind of blend in. Probably would have been better if I'd have put a smaller blade on, but I was just being lazy and then switched the blade. Everything still came out really nice. And like I said, I'm at the router table, just rounding over these edges. The only thing is that the round over bit doesn't get down into those little corners. So I did have to go in with a little small file and match up the corners and everything, or match the round over, I should say. It came out nice though, it really did. Continue on putting the face frame on, clamping it on. And now I'm putting on that top piece that I just cut on the bandsaw. And for some, that's one of the parts that I lost on the footage. And I'm gluing up the doors. The doors will have glass in each one. It'll be 2 doors. Yeah, I do go ahead and glue everything up, and then I'll go back later on and cut a rabbet on the back so the glass will fit in there. Put them up in the clamps so the glue will dry. And this is the face of the drawer, putting a little profile on there. Came out really nice. Now I've moved on to doing the shelves that will go on either side of the humidor. And part of making this build, it needed to be able to take it apart to transport it over to my customer's house. And so I had to make these shelves somewhat modular. And what I ended up doing is I used French cleats on the side that attached to the humidor itself. And that made it so I could take it apart and then it would go right together, right where I needed it to go. And that's what I'm doing right here, is I'm creating that French cleat. I didn't really go into too much depth on that because there's plenty of videos out there on French cleats. So, and this will be the outside of those shelves. The not the part that goes up against the humidor, but the other side where the other part of the shelf will connect to. I'm just using a piece of scrap plywood there just to make sure I'm getting it lined up on the edge. So this is the side of the humidor. Glued on the bottom portion of the French cleat. And some other parts of the video that I didn't get on here was I went through and I put molding everywhere it needed to be. Like that open spot right there, everything got molding, but the molding couldn't be attached until I made it to the customer's house, because if I attached the molding, I wouldn't be able to take it off with the French cleat. So and once again, this is the sides of that outer portion where the shelves attach on the outside. Just making sure everything's lined up and using a pin nailer. And use the router to break the edges, which was really a mistake since I'm putting, I think I put quarter round inside there. So I really didn't need to break the edges, but it still came out looking really good. And as you see that cleat right there, that's where the opposite side where the French cleats are, that's the side where they attach to the outside part of the frame. As you can see right here, all right. This explains it a little bit better. So I glue that down, I'll glue it and screw it. Because once again, the molding that I use and everything is going to cover up all any place where there's screws. Using a couple spacers there so I can get the other French cleat even where it's supposed to be at. And now I'm putting on a frame piece on those. Just clamping it up so the glue can dry. And I really hope that y'all enjoyed this 3-part series. You know, I wish I wouldn't have lost some of this footage or whatnot, and but it's really one of my nicest builds. Here I'm just making the baskets, the cigar baskets. Use a dado blade there, so I can make this somewhat interlocking glue and pin nail it together. And once I get the frames done on these, then I'll come back with the little slats to put on the bottom. And I use a 1/2 inch spacer. Keep everything nice and even. But again, I apologize for the footage that I lost on here. But I mean, it really is one of my best pieces, I think. So tell me in the comments and tell me what y'all think about it.